Before we begin our journey, take a moment to find a comfortable place, a place of peace. This story is for everyone who has ever looked up at the mountains and wondered what secrets they hold. If you enjoy this kind of journey into the unknown, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel to help us uncover more forgotten histories. Now close your eyes and listen. Settle into the quiet space between light and dark. For tonight, we are not traveling across oceans or through the sands of time. We are journeying upward to a place where history ends and legend begins. High above the clouds, a whisper of a forgotten world lingers in the thin, cold air. A world that exists beyond the reach of our maps and our modern technology. A world of impossible mountains where the very stones hum with the silent energy. For thousands of years, ancient myths from cultures across the globe have told of a civilization that did not live on the ground, but in the sky. They are the sky people, beings who mastered the air, living in cities carved into impossible cliffs. Their existence is a riddle, a paradox that challenges everything we believe about our own history. Did they master levitation and gravity? Did they build roads that floated among the peaks? Were they gods, as the ancient texts suggest, or were they simply a branch of humanity that took a different, more celestial path? The stories have been dismissed as folklore, as the wild imaginings of a pre-scientific mind. But what if the myths were not stories at all, but echoes of a truth we are only now beginning to uncover? What if the legends are a historical record, a message from a civilization that once looked down on the world, waiting for us to look up and remember? Tonight, we begin our ascent. We leave the familiar world behind to explore the whispered secrets of the clouds. For there, a lost kingdom still waits for us, hidden in plain sight, just at the edge of our vision. As we begin our ascent into the high places, we find that the legends of a sky kingdom are not confined to a single mountain range. They are a universal story, a shared memory that echoes across oceans and continents, suggesting a common source for a shared, forgotten experience. Every corner of the globe has its own tale of beings who descended from the heavens, living not among us but in a world that was just out of our sight. In the high, desolate peaks of the Himalayas, ancient Buddhist and Hindu myths speak of a hidden realm known as Shambhala. It is described as a magical ethereal kingdom, a place of immense spiritual power that is said to be inaccessible to those who are not prepared for its wonders. Its inhabitants are beings of immense wisdom and technology who are said to hold the secrets to our past and our future. Legends tell of them observing the human world from afar, only revealing themselves when a specific alignment of stars and consciousness occurs. To the people of these mountains, the clouds are not just a place for rain and snow. They are a veil, a physical barrier hiding a celestial world. Across the vastness of the Atlantic, on the fertile lands of ancient Mesopotamia, the Sumerians wrote on their clay tablets about the Anunnaki, a name that translates to those who from heaven to earth came. They were a pantheon of godlike beings who descended to earth to establish a new order. These ancient writings, which predate our own written history by thousands of years, describe how these beings gifted humanity with knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and agriculture. The myths of Sumer, with their accounts of gods who flew through the air in fiery chariots and lived in magnificent palaces that floated in the sky, are often dismissed as simple fables. But what if they were a detailed, if primitive, record of a technologically advanced civilization that existed in our world? In the heart of South America, the indigenous myths of the Andes Mountains tell of a similar origin. The Inca and the even older civilizations that preceded them believed their royal lines were descended from the sun itself. The city of Machu Picchu, built on a mountain peak, and the pre-Inca megalithic site of Pumapunku, with its impossibly cut stones, are still puzzles to modern science. The legends of these peoples speak of celestial teachers who descended from the stars and taught them how to build their magnificent cities. The very stones, according to the myths, were moved into place, with a form of sound energy that made them light as a feather, a form of levitation that defies our modern understanding of physics. Even in the dry, dusty plains of Mali in Africa, the myths of the Dogon people are a source of profound mystery. Their folklore, passed down through generations, contains intricate knowledge of the star system Sirius, specifically the existence of Sirius B, a white dwarf that is invisible to the naked eye. According to their myths, this knowledge was gifted to them by amphibious beings known as the Nomo, who came from the sky and taught them about their star and their culture. This specific and scientifically accurate piece of knowledge in a pre-technological culture has been a source of fascination and debate, suggesting a contact with a sky-faring civilization. The common thread in all these diverse myths is unmistakable. The sky people, whether they were called the Anunnaki, the Nomo, or the celestial founders of the Inca, were almost universally described as teachers and builders. They were not just supernatural beings, they were agents of change, bringing knowledge, technology, and a new way of living to humanity. These stories, dismissed as folklore for centuries, now begin to sound like echoes of a shared memory, a glimpse into a time when a civilization in the clouds looked down on the world, waiting for humanity to ascend. We have heard the legends, the echoes of a shared memory from a time when the heavens were a home, not just a mystery. But these are not merely stories whispered around a fire. They are an invitation to look for what we have forgotten. In our age of technology, our myths are now being re-examined through the cold, impartial lens of the satellite. A technology designed to give us a complete picture of our world is, ironically, beginning to reveal the places we were told do not exist. For centuries, the great mountain ranges of the world, the Himalayas, the Andes, the remote peaks of Central Asia, have been a refuge for mystery. They are impenetrable, their immense, jagged peaks, often shrouded in clouds and snow, their valleys unreachable by foot. The challenge of a physical expedition to these places is immense, and for most of human history that was enough to keep them a secret. But in our modern era, we can now bypass the physical barriers and simply look down from above. And in that quiet technological gaze, something profoundly strange has begun to emerge. The rumors began to circulate among amateur geographers and researchers who spend countless hours poring over high-resolution satellite imagery, searching for anomalies. They were looking for the lost, for the ancient, for anything that didn't belong. And in the most remote, unmapped areas of the world, they began to find them. The first discoveries were subtle, almost imperceptible, perfectly straight lines, right angles, and perfectly circular patterns that stood out in stark contrast to the chaotic, random, and jagged forms of the natural landscape. The human mind is designed to see patterns, a form of pareidolia, and at first the findings were dismissed as such. But as the imagery became more detailed and the patterns began to repeat themselves in different distant locations, the theory of a coincidence began to break down. The researchers found evidence of what appeared to be perfectly aligned structures carved directly into the sides of immense, impossible cliffs. They were not just a few stones. They were immense, terraced platforms, complex networks of what looked like roads and aqueducts, and what appeared to be buildings of immense scale. These were not the haphazard settlements of a nomadic people. This was the work of an organized, technologically advanced civilization that had mastered stonework on a scale that our own modern engineers would find daunting. What was most perplexing about these structures was not just their scale, but their context. They were not found in the easily accessible valleys or plateaus. They were found in the most inaccessible and inhospitable environments on the planet. They were carved into sheer rock faces, built on peaks where the oxygen is too thin for human survival, and hidden behind a perpetual shroud of cloud cover. It was as if the builders had deliberately chosen to live where no one could follow them, in a place that could only be accessed from the sky. The satellite images showed what looked like circular depressions, perfectly formed, that resembled landing pads and strange, metallic-looking glints that defied a natural geological explanation. The most compelling and perhaps most unsettling data came from thermal imaging satellites. In a number of these hidden, high-altitude locations, faint but persistent heat signatures were detected. In a place where a single degree of temperature is a matter of life and death, these thermal anomalies stood out. They did not appear to be natural geothermal vents, which would be erratic and geographically widespread. Instead, they appeared to be coming from specific localized points, as if from a power source that was still active, still generating energy. After thousands of years, this data, if confirmed, would not just suggest a lost city, but a functioning ancient technology. The findings were, and remain, highly controversial. Mainstream archaeologists and geologists have dismissed them as geological oddities, optical illusions, or natural formations that simply appear man-made from a distance. The official narrative is one of a closed debate, a conclusion that what we are seeing is simply our mind imposing order on chaos. But for those who have seen the patterns, who have traced the impossible lines, and who have pondered the faint heat signatures, the question remains open. Are these truly lost cities waiting for us to find them? Or are they the remnants of a civilization that never truly disappeared, a kingdom that simply withdrew into the clouds, waiting for the right moment to be seen again? A civilization that lives on mountain peaks, carved into impossible cliffs, requires more than just a place to exist. It requires a way to connect, to move, and to thrive. The discovery of these silent, high-altitude cities was a paradox, but the riddle was about to grow far more complex. For as researchers delved deeper into the satellite data, they began to find the intricate network that connected these settlements, a transportation system that defied all known principles of engineering. We are not just talking about bridges and roads, we are talking about floating bridges and sky roads. What appeared at first glance to be natural geological formations began to reveal a profound and deliberate design, running between the impossibly high peaks, spanning immense, gaping chasms, were structures that appeared to be without any physical support. These were not arches or suspension bridges. They were straight, smooth causeways that simply seemed to float in the air, held aloft by an unseen and powerful force. The surfaces appeared almost polished, a material that was neither rock nor metal, shimmering with a faint reflected light. They were perfect, without a single crack or fissure, as if they had been created in a single continuous process. To a human eye, they would have looked like paths for giants, impossibly straight and flat, disregarding the natural contours of the mountain range. The most extraordinary aspect of these sky roads was their complete defiance of gravity. They did not curve or sag. They did not seem to be anchored by any visible supports. The only conclusion that could be drawn from the imagery was that they were held in place by an invisible energy field. This led to a bold, almost unthinkable hypothesis that the builders of these cities had mastered a form of anti-gravity or levitation. They had learned to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe, creating a repulsion field that held their roads and bridges aloft, allowing them to traverse immense distances without any physical infrastructure. It was a technology so advanced, it seemed more like magic than science. This mastery of gravity was not just limited to the roads themselves. The ancient myths of the sky people were filled with descriptions of beings who could fly, who could walk on air, and whose divine chariots floated silently through the heavens. The legends of the Incas and the even older pre-flood texts of lost civilizations described divine roads that connected the heavens to the earth and floating bridges that allowed the gods to cross immense chasms without any physical support. For centuries, these accounts were dismissed as allegories, as metaphors for a spiritual journey. But what if they were literal descriptions, accounts of a reality that existed in a time when a civilization had mastered the very essence of flight? The satellite imagery, with its silent suspended causeways, provides a physical, visual parallel to to these ancient legends, a modern echo of a long-forgotten truth. The transportation network was not just about overcoming gravity, it was a reflection of a different way of thinking. The roads were perfectly straight, without the turns and bends that our own roads must take to accommodate natural terrain. This suggests that the vehicles that used them were not constrained by the same laws of motion that govern our own. They would have been silent, flying craft, moving seamlessly and at incredible speeds between the high-altitude settlements. The entire civilization, therefore, was not a two-dimensional collection of cities on a map. It was a three-dimensional network, a society that had completely transcended the physical boundaries that constrain our own. The discovery of the sky roads and the floating bridges is perhaps the most compelling and definitive piece of evidence for a civilization far more advanced than our own. It forces us to ask not just how they built their cities, but how they were able to conceive of a world where gravity was not a limitation but a tool. It is a mystery that goes beyond a lost civilization. It is a mystery of a lost way of thinking, a lost way of life. The remnants of this network are still there, silent and dormant, waiting for us to find a way to interpret what we are seeing. They stand as a silent testament to a time when a people lived in the sky, a time that may one day return. We have explored the mythical records of the sky people, and we have seen the mysterious structures left behind on the highest peaks of the world. But what if we could move beyond the legends and the tantalizing satellite images? What if there was a physical artifact, a tangible piece of evidence that could bridge the chasm between myth and reality? A small circular stone disk with a spiral groove etched into its surface may hold the key to the ultimate secret, a record of a cosmic encounter. These are the Dropa Stones. The story of the Dropa Stones begins in 1938 with a Chinese archaeological expedition led by Professor Chi Putei into the remote and forbidding Bayan Har Mountains. The team was searching for ancient cave systems when they stumbled upon a series of interconnected grottos. Inside, they found a strange and unsettling sight, hundreds of graves, laid out in an orderly fashion. But the skeletons they found within were not of a typical human size. They were small, no more than 4 feet tall, with unusually fragile, slender bodies and disproportionately large skulls. The team was puzzled, but the strangest discovery was yet to come. Buried within the graves, among the skeletal remains, were 716 small circular stone discs. Each disc was a perfect circle, about 9 inches in diameter, with a circular hole precisely bored through its center. But the most extraordinary feature was a double-groove spiral that ran from the center to the outer rim, looking to a modern eye remarkably like a very old, very strange record album. Along these grooves were etched tiny, microscopic hieroglyphics, so small and intricate that they were almost invisible to the naked eye. The expedition collected the stones, which would sit in various museums for decades, their purpose and origin a complete mystery. For years, the stones were dismissed as ritual objects, oddities from a forgotten civilization. It was not until the 1960s that a Russian scientist, Dr. Vyacheslav Zaitsev, was given a number of the stones for study. He took on the monumental task of attempting to translate the mysterious hieroglyphics. Using powerful microscopes, he began the painstaking process of deciphering a language that had been silenced for millennia. The initial findings were so shocking, so utterly beyond the bounds of conventional history, that he was forbidden to publish them. But the story of the translation would not be silenced. According to the account of Dr. Zaitsev's findings, the spiral grooves told a narrative of a spaceship that had crashed in the mountains thousands of years ago. The occupants, a people called the Dropa, came from a star system far away. Their ship, damaged beyond repair, left them stranded on Earth. The inscriptions went on to describe how they sought refuge with the local tribe of Han Chinese who lived in the area. The local tribe, terrified by the appearance of the small, slender beings with their unusually large heads, hunted and killed most of the Dropa. The stones were a record a physical, tangible account of their history, their crash landing, their pleas for help, and their tragic end. The story of the Dropa Stones, with its incredible implications, has been met with profound skepticism. Mainstream academics point to the lack of evidence. No one has ever been able to definitively locate the stones. There are no published papers from Dr. Zaitsev in the scientific record, and the original expedition's findings are mired in rumor and uncertainty. The consensus is that the story is a modern hoax, a captivating narrative created in the mid 20th century. However, for those who believe in the legend, the lack of evidence is in itself a piece of the puzzle. They argue that the story was a secret that was simply too profound to be revealed, and that the evidence was either lost to time or deliberately suppressed. The small, slender skeletons with their large heads have been cited as biological proof, a physical testament to a people who are not from our world. Whether the story of the Dropa Stones is a genuine historical record of a cosmic encounter or a modern myth created to fill a void in our understanding, it remains a powerful symbol of our search for a connection to the sky. It is a story that refuses to be forgotten, and it stands as a reminder that the most profound mysteries may be hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to find a way to read them. We have explored the physical remnants of the Sky Kingdom, the impossible cities, and the floating bridges, but the civilization is defined by more than its physical infrastructure. A people who lived in the clouds, at the very edge of the sky, would have a profound connection to the cosmos itself. Their most sacred spaces, their temples, were not just places of worship, but were the very heart of their existence, serving as both spiritual centers and as immense functional pieces of ancient technology. These Himalayan temples are so impossibly old, their construction so alien, that they seem to predate history itself. The initial satellite images of these temple complexes were met with a profound sense of awe. Unlike the cities, which were carved into the mountains, the temples appeared to have been built from a material that was not of the mountains at all. They are described in the unverified accounts as having a strange, almost crystalline quality, a material that is both light and incredibly durable, resisting the millennia of wind and ice without a single sign of erosion. The structures themselves were not built from individual blocks of stone. They were shaped from a single, seamless, and unidentifiable substance, a feat of engineering that suggests a mastery of molecular construction. The structures were not built, they were grown or manifested in a way we cannot begin to comprehend. The architecture of these temples defies our understanding of both ancient and modern design. They are not haphazard or ornate, they are geometrically perfect. Their forms a silent testament to a deep understanding of mathematics and celestial geometry. The most common forms are immense, perfectly shaped pyramids, their spires reaching toward the heavens, and great domed structures that hum with a low subsonic resonance. Their walls, often described as having a slight, faint luminescence, are covered not with artistic carvings, but with what appear to be complex celestial charts and strange symbols that do not belong to any known human language. The temples are not aligned with our cardinal directions or with the rising and setting of our sun. Instead, they are positioned to align with specific constellations and stellar systems that were visible to the naked eye thousands of years ago, a silent, cosmic calendar. But what was the function of these temples? The hypothesis that has emerged from the few who have studied them suggests they served a dual, profound purpose. The first was as a source of clean, ambient energy. The temples are always located at specific, powerful geological points, places where the Earth's natural electromagnetic field is at its most concentrated. The structures themselves, with their strange crystalline composition and their geometric perfection, are thought to have acted as massive energy collectors, gathering and storing the natural energy of the planet itself. This energy would have been used to power the floating bridges and the levitating vehicles, a self-sustaining system that needed no fuel, no fire, no resource that could be depleted. They were the power plants of a forgotten civilization, still silently humming with an unseen force after countless centuries. The second function was far more profound. They were celestial observatories, the perfect atmospheric conditions of the high altitude locations far above the pollution dust of the lower world provided a perfect viewing platform for the stars. The geometric shapes and the star charts etched into the walls were not for worship, but for the precise navigation and tracking of the stars. The Sky People, a civilization that mastered flight and lived at the edge of space, were likely not confined to their mountain homes. The temples were their guidebooks, their star maps, the ancient charts that allowed them to chart their journeys through the cosmos itself. The temples were not just a part of the Sky Kingdom, they were its connection to the stars. Today, these temples remain silent and undisturbed, a testament to a civilization that understood the universe in a way we can only dream of. They sit in the most remote corners of the world, shrouded in myth and protected by the very inaccessibility that their builders embraced. They are a mystery that goes beyond a lost history. They are a sign of a lost potential, a profound and humbling reminder that the gods of our ancient past may have been nothing more than a people who simply understood the universe better than we do. A civilization that lived among the clouds and built temples that harnessed cosmic energy would not have been exposed to the world below. Their entire existence was predicated on their seclusion, a choice to live a separate and profoundly private life. But as the satellite imagery reveals more and more of the physical remnants of the Sky Kingdom, it also exposes a deeper layer of mystery, a layer that speaks not of a passive disappearance, but of a deliberate act of seclusion. We are talking about hidden valleys and forbidden zones, places where the very air, the very landscape, seems to repel all who would enter. The mountains that served as their homes were not just a natural barrier, they were a shield. The Sky People's mastery over their environment was so profound that they appear to have created a series of obstacles that were both natural and technological. The terrain itself, with its impossible cliffs and immense, uncharted gorges, is an immediate physical deterrent. But it is the subtle, unexplained phenomena that speak to a more deliberate act of protection. Those few rare explorers who have ventured too close to these rumored locations have reported strange occurrences, compasses spinning erratically, radio signals failing, and a pervasive, unexplainable sense of disorientation that defies all known principles of geography. It is as if the air itself is being manipulated by an unseen force, a barrier that is both mental and physical, guarding the secrets of the hidden kingdom. The myths of the Sky People are filled with warnings of these forbidden zones. Ancient folklore from the surrounding villages tells of sacred lands that must never be approached. Legends speak of brave and curious souls who have attempted to enter these places and have either never returned or have returned with a vacant look in their eyes, their memories of the journey erased. The stories say that the mountains themselves are a living entity, a sentient guardian that only allows those who are worthy to enter. This is not just a tale of physical danger. It is a story of a boundary that is spiritual and technological, a barrier that is meant to protect the kingdom from the curiosity of the world below. These deliberate acts of seclusion have had a profound impact on the landscape itself. Within the depths of these forbidden valleys, isolated from the rest of the world for millennia, the environment is said to be unique. Rumors speak of plants with a strange, unnatural glow, of animals that are larger and more docile than their lowland counterparts, and a pervasive, comforting sense of warmth that defies the bitter cold of the high altitudes. It is as if the Sky People did not just build in the mountains, they cultivated them, creating a private, enclosed, and self-sustaining ecosystem that was a reflection of their own advanced knowledge. Perhaps the most compelling evidence of these forbidden zones comes from a surprising source, the world's most sophisticated space agencies. While the satellite imagery of the globe is, for the most part, continuous, there are small, consistent blackout zones that appear in our modern maps. These are areas that are consistently obscured by what appear to be strange, localized weather patterns, perpetual fog banks, and cloud formations that seem to hover over specific, geographically small areas. The official explanation is always a weather related anomaly or a data glitch. But to those who study the sky kingdom, these blackout zones are not an accident. They are a sign of a deliberate, intentional act of concealment. They are a sign that a secret has been discovered, and a decision has been made to keep it hidden from the public eye. So we are left to ponder the ultimate question of these hidden valleys. The sky people chose to live in seclusion, to build their civilization in a place where they could not be found, but the question is not how they hid from us, but why. Did they simply choose to withdraw from a world that was too chaotic, a civilization that was too young? Or were they not hiding from us, but from something else entirely, a deeper threat that existed in the world below? The forbidden zones are not just a part of the mystery, they are a sign of a purpose, a quiet, deliberate act of seclusion that speaks to a history we have yet to uncover. And this seclusion, this mystery, leads us to the heart of their greatest power. The existence of ancient mound cities and their impossibly suspended bridges raises a profound and fundamental question. What was the source of their power? A civilization that lived on inaccessible peaks and traveled on roads that defied gravity would require an energy source unlike any we have ever known. It would need to be pure, abundant, and utterly silent. The theories that have emerged from the shadows of this research suggest that the sky people did not use fire or fossil fuels. They mastered the very essence of energy itself, tapping into a hidden power grid that flows through the planet and using it to achieve the impossible. The hypothesis begins with the idea of a planetary energy system. It is a long-standing theory in some circles that our Earth has a network of natural energy lines, often referred to as ley lines, that crisscross the globe. The most sacred and powerful sites in ancient history, from Stonehenge to the pyramids, are often said to be located at the nodes where these lines intersect. The sky people, according to this theory, did not just build their temples in high remote places. They built them at the most concentrated points of this natural energy grid. The temples, with their strange crystalline composition, were not just places of worship. They were immense energy collectors, built to resonate with and amplify the pure, ambient power of the earth itself. This strange resonant quality of the temple's material is central to the theory of their power. It is believed that the very material they were constructed from, with its unique atomic structure, could collect, store, and distribute energy in a way that is utterly foreign to our modern understanding. This energy, a silent and limitless current, would have been distributed through the entire sky kingdom. The hum that is rumored to emanate from the hidden temples is said to be the sound of this energy, a low, subsonic vibration that is in perfect harmony with the planet's own frequency. It is the sound of a power source that has been active for millennia, a silent testament to a science that saw the Earth not as a resource to be exploited, but as a living, breathing power plant. The mastery of this energy leads directly to the most tantalizing and incredible theory of all, levitation. The floating bridges and the silent flying vehicles of the sky people were not powered by brute force, but by a precise understanding of the Earth's gravitational field. The energy collected by the temples was used to create a controlled repulsion field, a silent force that could counteract the pull of gravity itself. The sky people did not use force to push things up. They used a frequency, a resonance that allowed them to float effortlessly, moving in 3 dimensions with a silent grace that we can only dream of. The levitating vehicles would have required no wheels or wings. They would have simply ridden the waves of this ambient energy, their movements as effortless as a thought. And here, the theory ventures into its most profound and spiritual conclusion. The sky people's technology was not external to them, it was an extension of their consciousness. It is believed that their minds were able to interact with the energy fields, allowing them to activate the sky roads, move their vehicles, and even shape the crystalline material of their temples with the power of their will. The technology was not a separate entity, but a part of their existence, a silent, symbiotic relationship between the people and the planet they lived on. The energy fields in levitation were not just a marvel of science, they were a sign of a deep spiritual and physical harmony with the cosmos. A harmony that we have long forgotten, a harmony that lies at the very heart of the mystery of the Sky Kingdom, a civilization that mastered the energy of the earth and the very essence of flight would not have been content to simply live in the clouds. Their true domain was the cosmos itself. The temples, which we believed were just power generators, reveal a deeper, more profound purpose. For etched into the luminous walls of these sacred spaces are what appear to be ancient star maps, a celestial guide that holds the secrets to their cosmic origins and their ultimate destination. The discovery of these maps was perhaps the most astonishing revelation of all. Unlike the primitive star charts found in other ancient ruins, these were not crude drawings or simple constellations. They were precise, intricate, and astonishingly accurate representations of the cosmos. The stars were not static points on a wall. They were depicted with a faint, pulsing glow, as if they were still active, still connected to the cosmic events they were tracking. The maps did not show the night sky as we see it today. Instead, they showed the position of stars and constellations as they were thousands, even tens of thousands of years ago, accounting for the subtle, slow movements of the universe over immense spans of time. These star maps were not just for observation, they were a form of cosmic navigation. The Sky People's mastery of anti-gravity and their use of clean energy suggests they were not confined to a single planet. The maps, with their intricate charts of distant star systems and their detailed representations of cosmic dust clouds, were their guidebooks, their flight plans for the cosmos. They show not just the path to the stars, but the path from them. It is believed that the Sky People did not originate on Earth, but were visitors from a star system far away, a people who had journeyed through the vacuum of space to find a new home, a new sanctuary in the clouds. The maps were a memory, a history of their journey, a silent testament to a time when they were celestial travelers, but the maps were also a form of celestial calendar. The Sky People understood the grand, immense cycles of the universe on a scale that we can only dream of. They tracked the slow, deliberate procession of the equinoxes, the subtle shifts of the planetary alignments, and the rise and fall of great cosmic epochs. The temples and their energy grids were not just aligned with the Earth's natural currents, they were aligned with specific, powerful cosmic events, acting as an alarm clock, a silent timer that would trigger a response at a specific, predetermined moment in time. The very structure of this civilization was built around the profound understanding of a cosmic timeline, a calendar that was not measured in years or centuries, but in stellar cycles. The most profound theory of all is that the star maps were not just a record of their past, they were a message for our future. The Sky People, with their advanced knowledge of cosmic cycles, would have known that their civilization would one day withdraw. They left these maps as a cosmic roadmap for us to follow. They are a test, a silent invitation to see if we, as a species, are capable of understanding the message, capable of finding the path to the stars. The pulsating light in the maps, the symbols that have yet to be translated, are a challenge, a riddle that says to us, we were here, and we knew you would one day come looking for us. Can you now find the way to the stars, the way to a new kind of civilization? The discovery of the ancient star maps fundamentally changes the story of the Sky Kingdom. They are not just a lost civilization, they are a sign of a larger galactic society. They were a people who came from the cosmos, lived in our skies, and left behind a trail of breadcrumbs for us to follow. And this trail, these maps, leads us directly to the most profound and unsettling part of the story, the prophecy of their return. We have climbed to the highest peaks, explored the remnants of impossible cities, and found the silent hum of ancient technology. But a civilization as advanced as the Sky People would not simply abandon their home. They would leave a message, a promise of a future yet to come. The star maps etched into the walls of their temples are not just a record of their past. They are a silent prophecy, a divine promise that tells of the Sky Kingdom's return. The legend is as old as the mountains themselves, whispered in the quiet valleys of the Himalayas and the remote highlands of South America. It is a shared, profound hope that the celestial beings who once lived in the clouds will one day return to the world they once knew. But the prophecy is not based on a vague hope or a spiritual longing. It is a precise, scientific promise based on a cosmic calendar that our ancient ancestors were only just beginning to comprehend. The temples, aligned with the grand cycles of the universe, are not just a reminder of the past, they are a countdown to the future. According to the unwritten prophecy, the Sky People's return is tied to a specific celestial alignment, a rare event that will bring their home star into a specific position relative to our own sun. The prophecy states that when this alignment occurs, the dormant energy fields of their temples will reactivate, their levitation technology will hum back to life, and the great cities that were once veiled in clouds will become visible once more. It is not an invasion or an arrival, it is a reemergence, a coming home to a planet they once considered their sanctuary. The floating bridges and the sky roads, which have been silent for millennia, are not dead. They are simply in a state of deep technological sleep, waiting for the cosmic signal that will awaken them. The myths and legends speak of the signs that will precede this grand return. They tell of strange lights in the sky, of a pervasive sense of change in the atmosphere, and of a feeling of profound energy that will ripple through the planet itself. The prophecies are not about a new destructive order. They are about a new beginning, a promise of a new era for humanity. The Sky People, having observed our development from afar, will return not as conquerors, but as guides. They will share their knowledge of technology, their understanding of the cosmos, and their mastery over energy. They will offer a new path for humanity, a path of unity and cosmic consciousness, a chance to transcend our limitations and to take our place in the galactic society they once called home. But the prophecy is a double-edged sword, a promise that comes with a profound and unsettling question. The myths are clear that the Sky People will only return when the time is right. This is not just a matter of a stellar alignment, it is a question of human consciousness. Are we a species prepared to meet our makers? Are we ready to accept the truth that would change our society, our beliefs, and our place in the universe forever? We are a civilization still bound by the limitations of our own minds, our technology, and our divisions. The Sky People lived in a world without these boundaries, and the prophecy asks if we have matured enough to live in that world with them. The final piece of the puzzle is the realization that the Sky Kingdom is not a lost history. It is a promise of a future. The temples, the star maps, the floating roads, they are all part of a grand design, a cosmic countdown that has been playing out for thousands of years. The mystery is not about finding them, it is about waiting for them, about preparing ourselves for a truth that will one day be revealed. The hidden kingdom in the clouds is not just a myth, it is a destiny, a future that is waiting to be realized. We have climbed to the highest peaks of the world, following the silent trail of a lost civilization. But what if the Sky Kingdom was not an isolated phenomenon? What if its existence was part of a grander, more profound tapestry, a unified, global civilization that once spanned the entire planet, with its technological wonders hidden not just in the clouds, but in the depths of the sea? What if the Sky Kingdom is the surviving remnant of a global society that we know by another name, Atlantis and Lemuria? The legends of Atlantis and Lemuria are as powerful as they are pervasive. Plato wrote of a magnificent island kingdom that possessed technology far beyond its time, only to be consumed by the sea in a single cataclysmic day. The myths of Lemuria, a lost continent in the Pacific, tell of a peaceful, highly advanced people who mastered consciousness and energy. For centuries, these have been considered separate and distinct fables, but a closer look at the rumored technologies and philosophies of these lost empires reveals a remarkable, unifying parallel with the Sky Kingdom. The whispered stories of Atlantean technology speak of immense power, of a society that was controlled by a vast network of crystalline energy. The great pyramids and megalithic structures of the Atlanteans were not built with human hands. They were shaped and moved into place with a form of anti-gravity that resonates deeply with our theories about the sky people's levitation. The crystalline energy that supposedly powered Atlantis, a clean, silent, and endless source of power, is a direct echo of the energy fields that hum within the Himalayan temples. It suggests a common technological source, a shared science that was understood by a single global people. What separated the Sky Kingdom from Atlantis was not technology, but a choice, a grand and tragic divergence in the face of a looming global catastrophe. The pre-flood texts that we have discussed, which speak of a great deluge that wiped out the first civilizations, may be a record of the event that caused the Great Split. The Sky People, with their advanced knowledge of celestial alignments and planetary cycles, may have seen the coming of the flood. They would have chosen to retreat, not to the sea, but to the highest, most secluded sanctuaries on the planet, to the mountain peaks where they could wait for the storm to pass. Atlantis and Lemuria, however, were not so fortunate. Their cities, which were on the surface and on the sea, were consumed by the waves, taking with them the secrets and the knowledge of a golden age, leaving behind only the echoes of a lost grandeur. The remaining evidence of this unified civilization is found not in a single location, but in a shared global language of thought. The sacred geometry, the celestial alignments, and the reverence for a crystalline, clean energy source can be found in the most remote corners of the world, in the myths of the Sumerians, the Mayans, and the ancient Egyptians. These are not separate and distinct cultures. They are all remnants, fragments of a single global civilization that once existed in a state of grace and technological enlightenment. The Sky Kingdom is not just a myth. It is the surviving branch of that great tree, a branch that continues to live in the clouds, a living history of the age of Atlantis. The ultimate question then is not whether the Sky Kingdom existed, but whether it still exists as a living, breathing connection to a history that we have completely forgotten. Are they the silent watchers, the last remnants of a global civilization that was forced to go into hiding? And if they are, then they are not just watching us for a celestial alignment. They are waiting for us to rediscover the truth of our own past, to find the knowledge and the power that was lost in the great flood that ended the Golden Age. The hidden kingdom is a sign, a reminder that we are not the first, and perhaps not the last, to walk this path. Ancient myths to modern satellite images, from the forgotten secrets of the mountains to the whispered connections to the lost empires of the sea, all of this evidence, the strange temples, the silent roads, the energy fields, is a record of a civilization that we believe to be in the past. But what if it is not? What if the Sky Kingdom is not a forgotten history, but a quiet living and present reality? A civilization that has not disappeared, but has simply withdrawn and is now in this very moment watching us. Theory of a hidden civilization in a state of perpetual observation is perhaps the most profound and unsettling conclusion to this entire journey. The forbidden zones and the perpetual cloud formations that we discussed earlier were not just a random act of nature, they were a meticulously crafted veil. From the clear, pristine air of the high altitudes, untouched by the pollution and chaos of the world below, Sky People would have a perfect vantage point to observe our planet. Their technology, which mastered energy and gravity, would have no need for loud, clumsy machines. They would simply be a silent, invisible presence, using their advanced senses and their mastery of subtle energies to watch our every move. Observation would not be limited to what we do. it would also be about who we are. The myths of the sky people speak of their mastery of consciousness, and it is a chilling thought that they may not be watching our physical actions, but listening to the low hum of our collective mind. They have been a silent witness to all of human history: the invention of the wheel, the rise of the great empires, the triumph of science, the tragedies of our self destruction, and the sublime beauty of our art. They have watched our society develop from a simple tribal culture to a complex global network, a journey that to them would have been an incredibly short and fascinating span of time. This idea of a civilization that has transcended the need for physical interaction and has chosen to simply observe lends itself to a theory that has long existed in the shadows of cosmic speculation, the cosmic zoo hypothesis. In this view, a more advanced civilization has chosen not to interact with us directly, but to treat our planet as a protected and delicate ecosystem. They are the zookeepers, and we are the primary exhibit. They do not intervene, they do not interfere, and they do not reveal themselves as to not influence our natural development. The sky people, having witnessed the fragility of their own past, may have chosen this path to protect us from ourselves and to protect us from the very knowledge of their existence, a truth that could either unite us or tear us apart. Chilling finality of this theory is the idea that the silence we have always perceived as an absence is in fact a deliberate and active presence. The night sky is not empty, it is a place of profound and patient observation. The quiet of the mountains is not a sign of a dead past, but a sign of a living, breathing present. The prophecy of their return is not about a sudden grand appearance. It is about them waiting for us to reach a level of maturity where we can handle the truth. They are waiting for us to find them, to prove that we have evolved enough to be a part of their world. Mystery is not about what we found in the past. It is about what is watching us in the present. The hidden valleys and the forbidden zones are not just a part of the past. They are a silent, living, and active presence. And the question is not whether they are watching us, but why they have remained silent for so long. Their silence is a testament to their patience, a sign that they have seen this story before, and they are waiting to see how we, as a species, will choose to end it. As we ponder the possibility that a forgotten civilization is still watching us, we are forced to confront a more immediate and unsettling question. Are they the only ones keeping a secret? The theory that the Sky Kingdom is a living, breathing, and present reality is supported by a more recent and more tangible phenomenon. It is a phenomenon that suggests that the modern world is not only aware of these hidden places, but is actively and deliberately working to conceal them from public view. We are talking about modern cover-ups and satellite blackouts. For decades, amateur geographers, independent researchers, and curious minds have used publicly available satellite imagery like Google Earth and other mapping services as a tool for discovery. They have pored over every inch of the planet, finding lost cities, ancient roads, and unrecorded ruins, but there are specific areas of the globe that remain stubbornly and inexplicably absent from these high-resolution maps. These are the blackout zones we have discussed before, areas that are either blurred, intentionally pixelated, or simply missing from the map, replaced with a strange, uniform digital blur. The official explanation is always a geological survey, a military exclusion zone, or simply a lack of high-resolution data for that specific area. But the consistency and the geographical precision of these blackout zones suggest a more coordinated and deliberate effort. The theory suggests that these are not random gaps in data. They are a form of digital censorship, a quiet and subtle act of concealment. The very places where the Sky Kingdom cities and temples are rumored to exist are the places that are most consistently and mysteriously obscured. The clouds that perpetually hang over these mountains and the satellite imagery are not always real. They are often a digital artifact, a computer-generated veil designed to hide what lies beneath. This leads to the profound conclusion that the hidden valleys are not just a secret of the sky people, they are a secret that is being kept from us, by us. But why? What is the reason for this immense, coordinated effort of concealment? The first and most obvious reason would be the potential for global panic. A confirmed discovery of a living, technological civilization that has been watching us for millennia would shatter the very foundations of our religious and political institutions. It would challenge our sense of uniqueness and our place in the universe. A government that possesses this knowledge would likely choose to keep it a secret to avoid a global societal collapse, a fear of the profound implications that would accompany such a revelation. A more pragmatic and perhaps more chilling reason would be the desire to control the technology, the energy fields, the levitation technology, and the advanced materials of the Sky Kingdom would be the most valuable resource on the planet, a source of power and technology that would make any nation that possessed it the dominant force in the world. A discovery of these technologies would trigger an unimaginable scramble for control, and it is a race that would be best run in the shadows, away from the prying eyes of the public and rival nations. And finally, there is the most profound and speculative reason of all, a form of silent diplomacy. It is a theory that suggests that the governments of the world did indeed find the sky people, and in a quiet, secret agreement, they have entered into a compact of non-interference. They have agreed to keep the Sky Kingdom a secret, to protect them from the chaos of our world, in exchange for a promise of non-interference and perhaps a trickle of technological knowledge. The satellite blackouts are not a sign of a cover-up. They are a sign of a peace treaty, a silent agreement to let a civilization that has transcended our limitations live in peace. The modern cover-ups are a testament to the fact that something is being hidden and that the Sky Kingdom is not just a myth from the past, but a secret of the present. The blackout zones, the mysterious clouds, and the dismissed sightings are all part of a single, coordinated, and profound effort to conceal a truth that is simply too big to be revealed. The real mystery is not what is in the mountains, but why we are not allowed to see it. We have journeyed through a world of ancient mysteries and modern anomalies, from floating bridges to celestial prophecies. The story of the Sky Kingdom is compelling, intricate, and deeply profound. But for every piece of strange evidence and every intriguing theory, there's a powerful and very real counter-argument that resides in the world of mainstream science and archaeology. It is a world that, for the most part, has dismissed the entire narrative as nothing more than a collection of folklore, misinterpreted data, and deliberate hoaxes. It is a world that argues that the silence of the mountains is not a sign of a secret, but a sign of nothing at all. The debunking of the Sky Kingdom narrative is as meticulous and as detailed as the story itself. The legends of the Dropa Stones, which promised a direct, tangible link to an alien civilization, have been widely and convincingly discredited. Mainstream academics point to the fact that there is no verifiable evidence of the stones' existence. No museum has a record of them, no reputable paper has ever been published on their translation, and the very existence of the Russian scientist who supposedly translated them, Dr. Zaitsev, has been impossible to conclusively prove. The consensus is that the story is a modern invention, a myth created in the mid-20th century, which then took on a life of its own in the absence of solid information. The satellite anomalies that have so captivated the imagination are also given a more mundane and logical explanation. The blackout zones are often cited as areas with government military installations that are intentionally blurred for national security purposes. The strange, permanent cloud cover is dismissed as a natural weather phenomenon in high-altitude regions. The ancient roads and cities that appear in satellite images are dismissed as a simple case of pareidolia, the psychological tendency for the human mind to see meaningful patterns in random, chaotic data, the jagged edges of the mountains, to a mind that is searching for a sign, can easily be misinterpreted as a perfectly straight line or a perfectly geometric shape. The scientific consensus is clear. There is no physical evidence of an ancient technological civilization in the Himalayas. From this perspective, the myths of the Sky People are just that, myths. They are not a record of a lost history, but a reflection of a shared human need to explain the unexplainable. Every culture on Earth has a myth of a powerful god or a celestial being who gifted them with knowledge and civilization. These stories, the academics argue, are our way of making sense of the mysteries of our own origins, not a record of a cosmic encounter. But even within the world of science and academia, there are open debates that challenge this consensus. The dismissal of all the evidence as a hoax or as pareidolia is a convenient but not always satisfying answer. There are still countless unexplained mysteries in the archaeological record, out-of-place artifacts and ancient ruins whose construction defies explanation, even with our modern technology. The question is not just about the existence of the Sky Kingdom, it is about the nature of our history itself. The central argument of the open debate is this: is the absence of definitive, verifiable evidence simply a sign of a hoax, or is it a sign of a truth that is being deliberately and meticulously concealed? Is our collective intellectual rigidity preventing us from seeing what is right in front of us? It is a profound philosophical question that pits a cautious, skeptical view of the world against a more open and inquisitive one. The scientific method is built on skepticism and an open mind, but the very possibility of a paradigm-shifting truth can be an unsettling one for an institution that is comfortable with its current narrative. So the debate rages on between those who believe the myths are a reflection of a forgotten history and those who believe they are a reflection of a fertile imagination. But for those who have spent their lives looking at the data, the patterns, and the legends, there is a profound sense that the story is not over. The silence of the mountains is a question, and the mysteries of the Sky Kingdom are an open invitation to look closer, to question everything, and to consider the most profound possibility of all. We have reached the end of our journey. We have explored the myths, the secrets, the alleged evidence, and the passionate debates that swirl around the legend of the Sky Kingdom. And yet, after all this, the most profound question remains unanswered. Did they truly exist? The truth is not something that can be proven with a single photograph or a single document. The truth of the Sky Kingdom lies in the space between what we can prove and what we can only believe. For those who stand with the academic consensus, the story of the Sky Kingdom is a powerful, profound, and beautiful myth. It is a testament to the power of the human imagination, a collection of stories born from our most ancient fears and our deepest longings for a grander past. The lost cities in the satellite images are just geological oddities. The floating bridges are simply natural formations, and the myths of the Sky People are a reflection of a creative and inquisitive mind. There is a profound beauty in this perspective. It suggests that our capacity for wonder is not something that is limited by our reality, but something that is so powerful that it can create a reality all its own. In this view, the Sky Kingdom is not a forgotten history. It is a masterpiece of the human spirit, a testament to our profound need to believe in something beyond ourselves. But then, there is the lingering whisper of doubt, a quiet, insistent voice that says that the debunking is simply a convenient story. It is a voice that says that the absence of evidence is not the same as the evidence of absence. This is the perspective that looks at the statistical improbability of all these myths and all these anomalies existing in parallel, and concludes that there is a pattern, a profound and deliberate design that is simply too big for our current institutions to accept. This is the belief that the low, subsonic hum that is rumored to come from the temples is not an echo of a dead past, but a sign of a living, breathing, and patient presence. In this view, the satellite blackouts are not a mistake. They are a sign of a successful, ongoing, and profound concealment. So, where do we go from here? The answer is not a conclusion but a choice. You can choose to see the mountains as they are, a silent and empty testament to the forces of nature, or you can choose to see them as they may be, a living, breathing sanctuary for a civilization that has chosen to live in a state of quiet grace. The beauty of this mystery is that it asks you to choose your own path, to decide for yourself where the boundaries of history, myth, and belief truly lie. The Sky Kingdom is a silent promise. It is a promise that the universe is far more extraordinary than we ever imagined. It is a promise that our history is far richer and more profound than the books tell us. It is a promise that we are not alone in the vastness of the cosmos, but are part of a grander, more ancient, and more complex story. The final mystery of the Sky Kingdom is not about what we have lost, but about what we have yet to find. So as you drift into a peaceful rest tonight, let your mind ascend into the clouds. Let the silence of the mountains fill you with a profound sense of wonder. For out there, just beyond the edge of our vision, a civilization may still be waiting,